I just started recording, so we're good from a technical standpoint.
Oh, okay.
And later on, Andrew needs to check his camera. He's got specks. He's got stuff all over his camera.
Okay.
Thought it was on my
All right,
screen,
yep.
but it was on his camera.
All right, if everyone's ready, I'm going to call this meeting of Central Business to order. And I'd like to remind everyone that the purpose of this meeting is discuss what we're going to do to try to improve downtown. This meeting is not the platform for personal attacks. With that, Andrew, I turn it over to you.
Great, thank you. Let me pull up the agenda. Bear with me for a few seconds here. Okay. Can everyone see the agenda? Actually, let me. I had a- there we go. Okay. So the first item on the agenda is Mr. Gordon with the report on the 2020 farm. So with that, I'll go ahead. Did you need anything pulled up, Marty, or?
No, I sent out, everyone should have gotten the copy of the end of the year report. And I thought I would just hit on it a couple of things. And then if you want to talk about it, we can. And despite having to deal with COVID, the 2020 season was a good one with over 6,000 visitors to the market. We looked at, it ended up being total markets 22, and I had to go back. I don't know if I sent you the corrected one. We did not start the first one on May 22nd because of the weather. So we had 2 markets canceled because of the weather last year. Total attendance was 6,809, averaged about 309. I sent you the post market vendor survey, and for most of it was great reviews. The vendors were happy with the changes, the turnout, and the revenue, and many had record sales. So, you know, I felt very comfortable with that. I do have a breakdown that we can look at later if you like on the number of and the type of produce and items that were there. Most of you know, especially Marissa and Sam, that came out at different times at towards the end, really towards the middle of the season. We were very lucky to bring in some new produce vendors, but we were hit hard last year because of the grow cycle that we didn't have a lot of produce early on in the summer, and that's all the farmers were facing that. One thing that I did last year that I'm continuing this year is visiting other farmers markets, especially during our off season, to talk to their vendors, talk to their farmers market directors, and get an idea of what's going on. I've attended in the last 2 months, I've attended 17 farmers market conferences now, including the state farmers market. And we are officially a member of the Virginia Farmers Market Association, which we had not become a member in almost 3 years. So we now get the benefits of that. It's very little membership, but we do get benefits of that and a lot of the training. And I've already completed 1 training through them, and I'm currently going through a 300-page training on farmers markets with the national and the state farmers market association. So that's helping us build on some things. I really didn't hit on any 2021 yet, but I will bring it up that we're looking at right now. The dates for 2021 would be May 20th through October 28th. That gives us 24 dates, plus we're looking at 3 specialty dates. One would be having some form of the market with the vendors that would be available on that Saturday, July 3rd, as part of our July 4th celebration. And then we're also looking at both Christmas on the market, like we originally had planned, associated with our parade. And then also this year, possibly a winter wonderland that would have one of the components would be another farmer's market. So we're looking at 3 specialty markets as we move forward.
Hey, Marty. You mentioned about us joining this organization, we can get some benefits or some training. Can you kind of go over some insight into that, please?
Well, it's first of all, it's been farmers market manager training. That's what I'm. They spread it over 16 weeks, but in essence, it's a 258-page manual that the training is going through. Also, over the last 2 weeks, we've had training on new COVID restrictions, what the possible COVID restrictions are going to be as we go into the first part of the year. Some updated food certification, and also ways to make sure that our vendors are following through on things we need to follow through. So, and one of the biggest things, Sam, has been at the end of all these webinars, Zoom meetings, whatever, there's been, they call it coffee talk, where all the markets talk about what happened last year and what they're going through so far. So I think that's been one of the big things. And, we now have a Blue Ridge Farmers Market Association for our area. We have the State Farmers Market Association, and we have both a regional national farmers market group and a national group. So it's been interesting to hear some of the things that they've done, had to go through, what was, impacted them, what was positive and negative, and then what each other is moving forward with and trying to deal with.
Okay.
I also sent you today, I hope everyone got it, is we'll be doing a monthly newsletter that goes out with just keeping everybody up to date. Once the season begins, that newsletter will become a weekly newsletter. It's mainly, the idea is to get it out to our vendors. One of the things we tried to do last year was make them more accountable, and also to feel that the market was theirs. And I think we did that in a lot of ways, but the newsletter is just another step in trying to get them being a part of the market and taking steps to do things like, if they find out it might be barbecue week or something like that, so they can start doing some things. So just to open the line of communications internally to the vendors, but also outside too. And, I think you noticed that there's a couple fun things on there. I've had great response from the vendors. They all tried to keep in touch and what's going on. We had, of course, 2 vendors. One had a broken leg and another one had surgery that weren't there for the last month. And they've tried to communicate and keep in touch with all the other vendors and me to try to let them know how they're doing.
Okay. Have they been informed of the new location for next year, this year?
Yes, all the vendors knew what was in the works, and then I sent out a notice to them at the end of last year. Have not received any response back. Marissa had asked me if we started the vendor recruitment. Have not started that yet. We just finished up some of the details on the dates to get out there. Then we're working on the new application, the new registration with all the new dates and everything else that's going on.
Okay.
I can come back, Sam, at next month's meeting with some 2021 details. So if you want to put that on the agenda for next month, we can come back and talk about that.
That'd be great.
Any questions?
Not for me.
I'll just say, I think you did a great job with the market myself. You kind of brought it back to life this year, and I really appreciate all you've done in that regard.
Well, I hope we can still build on it, even having to move to a secondary site, a temporary site. I think it's a good location, and we can do some things here that I've got in the works, and we're planning that will bring out more people. Again, it comes back to what we're going to see in May and June from still COVID restrictions. Now that's going to affect us. Coming out of these conferences and webinars and Zoom meetings, everyone is sort of figuring going into probably June, we're still going to be dealing with some type of restrictions that we had last year. Some of them are going to be a little easier to do because we figured out how to do them correctly and how to work with it. But I would anticipate that probably we're going to be dealing with some type of COVID restrictions all the way into the June season, which is not bad for us since we only have the 2 dates in May.
Okay, anyone else have anything else for Marty? Okay, if not, Andrew, next item, please. You're muted.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great, excellent. The next item is 2021 special events. So things are still starting to roll out a little bit, but did want to at least bring you up to date on what we know at this point, and what will be in front of council very soon as well. And that is the Wilderness Trail Festival is planning for September 18th. And in anticipation of work on Hickok Street, they are asking for the footprint to be expanded a bit to the west, as well as to the east towards Town Hall. So and they have a map, and it'll be in your town council packet next week. They're going to be coming on Tuesday to request the street closure, as well as Ernie Wade is planning to give you a bit of update on what they plan for the Wilderness Trail Festival. And they've been working very hard with what they know right now under the COVID restrictions. Obviously things can change, and we just appreciate that they've come to the Special Events Committee early from staff and gotten feedback from police and public works and such. So I find that exciting that we have one event that is already moving along, and haven't heard from other groups at this point, but I hope to. We hope to soon, and I know Sharon Robertson from DCI is in the is listening in as an attendee, and maybe if there's any additional information that she can add later on regarding events, that would be great. But at this point, I just wanted to update you on that, and Marty may have a couple items as well, or unless those were touched on in your previous comments.
And we are looking at Rockin' Main Street event. It'll be held in the fall. We're working on a date and some plans for that. Again, it all depended on the Virginia Tech football schedule that finally came out last week. So we're looking around some dates of that. Of course, we'll have our Easter egg event still coming up, but we'll have at least one event that we're looking at in the fall, Rockin' Main Street in a form or fashion.
Andrew, you say you have not heard from the museum?
Not at this time. They are planning to present at your next council meeting.
Okay.
So there may be some additional information. And I know they're going to be having, I believe Sue Farrar is, I believe it's out in the public that she's planning to retire and come June. So I know they're going to have leadership change pretty soon. So
Okay.
not sure how that will affect their event planning for the upcoming year.
Okay. Any other questions on the 2021 special events? If not, we can move along. Go ahead, Andrew.
The next item would be the 2020-2021 facade grant program. And let me pull up a PowerPoint for that. Okay. See the presentation and presentation form?
Yes.
Okay. So as you're aware, we had our first year that really started in 2018, but then became like a 2019-2020 program, and most applicants finished up late fall 2019, and it was we believe it was fairly successful, and council did approve an additional $25,000 into the facade grant program for this fiscal year. with everything that happened this year, with COVID related, and the 5 grant programs we ran this fall, we didn't really have an opportunity to start it, earlier on in the fiscal year. But we'd like to go ahead with Central Business Committee's nod, to move forward with it. And if you're agreeable, could update council at your February 9th meeting so that we could go ahead and get some public meetings scheduled and get the word out there and advertise for it and get the program moving. So what we had in mind were 3 public meetings to promote the program. Again, I think a lot of business owners and property owners already know about it, so it would be fairly familiar to them. But we would have a Zoom webinar similar to this on Thursday, February 18th at 9 a.m. trying to vary times. We would record that and then make that available on our YouTube channel so anybody could look at it at any time. And we try to send that link out to folks that either said that they would like to attend or couldn't make that time, or we know our business owners, property owners downtown. Then we would have another webinar on the 22nd at noon, just trying to vary times a bit. And then we'd have an in-person meeting on the 24th at 5:30, socially distanced, of course. And then, as I said, we would record and post that first meeting to our YouTube channel. And then we would also do a traditional mailing like we did last year to property and business owners in Cambria and downtown. The process would be a 3-week enrollment period. This is similar to what we did for the first year. The times would be February 18th. So we'd start it the first day we would have the first webinar, and then it would run through March 11th. We would then bring back, we'd have to form our selection committee again. Then we'd select the 5 awards, and we'd look to do this by March 31st. And then at that point, you may remember the process. I talked to Robin Poteet this morning, and just wanted to confirm with her she is totally on board for doing this again as the artist. I thought she did a great job, and if the committee is amenable to it, we'd like to work with her again as the artist. I think she did a great job working with staff as well as working with the property owner, business owner, and I think the drawings were great. So what she would do is she would meet with the applicant and staff, and then she would provide a drawing within a month, typically of the meeting, and then we would review it, and then pay the standard agreed upon cost, which was the $500 for her drawing, and then applicants would provide an itemized budget for the drawing within 1 month after we approve the drawing. We would look that all improvements be done before June 30th, 2021. So we're really looking from April, the last quarter of this fiscal year, for the improvements to be done. That may not be possible for all awardees. So there could be an agreement because we would be going over another budget year. We need to know that and know that they would, from April 1st to, would it be, I guess it would be November, they could have that period to make the improvements if everybody is agreeable to that. We are going to try to work with them to see if we can get those improvements done within the first 3 months, because that's kind of what I found with the original program is most folks were motivated and ready to go within the first 90 days of being awarded the grant. But it may be important to work with each applicant individually. And then as it would work the same way as last year, the town would reimburse half of the expenses up to $4,500 for each awardee. And there were split awardees last year, so so it may, so that's a maximum of $4,500, but there may be an awardee that is for $2,000, another one for $2,500, depending on what's being requested. So this is the eligible area from last time for downtown, and the staff is not proposing any changes at this time. If the committee would like to take a look at it, we could discuss it in further depth. But I do think there's still enough eligible buildings within both areas for some good applications to come in. And again, the reason why we did limit it last year was because after the program got up and running for a couple of years, we really thought we could start to see that impact in a short and maximize that impact in a smaller area of the historic downtown and Cambria areas. So that was the reason to not have a huge area for downtown. But I know that was in question in the past, and it may be this year to look at enlarging it, or we could look to next year to enlarge the area, or to look at another area of town altogether. And that is Cambria with the old school building that will be sold shortly here on the north end, really coming down to the electrical supply store, and then going to out both directions along Depot a little bit. So as you may recall, there's a lot of things that this could be used for. Basically, stabilizing the front of the building that faces the street, removing, making it more historically consistent, restoring, original windows, painting in historic or period colors, adding architectural details or fixing architectural details such as cornices, dormers, doors, lintels, etc. And we really do rely on out of the Robin Poteet in the past, as the artist to really provide some guidance on what she believes to be more of the historical items as well on the building. And also we did have a historian on the selection committee last year, which was very helpful as well with some guidance in that area. But it could be other things besides making it look historic. I mean, it could be murals on building facades. It could be hardscaping, landscaping, like fencing, maybe a little landscape garden area in front, softening the edge of the building and the public street. And so it could be a number of things that are listed here. And last year, we had a review board that was comprised of 5 members. We were able to tick all of these boxes. We had Sherry Wyatt from the Montgomery Museum, who's has an architectural background, as well as she's the county historian as well. Then we had a business owner, Jason Poff, who's a NBI business owner in Cambria. I forget the exact name of his business, but I know it's NDI. And their citizen at large was Rita Irvin. And then, as you'll recall, I believe both Sam and Marissa did sit on the selection committee. And then we had staff as well that I believe were non-voting members on the review board. So the evaluation selection can be fine-tuned as we go through this, and also working with the evaluation committee potentially, or the review board. But what we did last year was we looked at what would be the impact to the building by the proposed changes. Also collectively with the buildings around it, how would it improve the area? Does it improve the historic nature of the area? And then look at other improvements that would result from the changes. And then I think we did look at a scale of 1 to 5, but I'd have to go back and look at our notes a little closer to see exactly how we evaluated. But I know that the review board did a nice job with evaluating each application, and there were 13 altogether. And then we ended up doing the 6 awards, 4 in Cambria and 2 in downtown. And then I just had, this was a location of the applications in downtown where the stars are shown. Those were the applications that we received in Cambria.
Hey, Andrew, have we been able to reach those property owners that have less than desirable storefronts on Main Street? I know there's a few next to Joe Simmons area. I was wondering if there's any chance of getting him on board.
I think it's a matter of reaching out. Yeah, we have, you know, one of the criterion before was that there had to be an active business license, or they had to be in the process of renovating the building to open it up as a business. And so, you know, I think that would need to be evaluated to see if that's something that we would still want to continue as, you know, as criteria for the application. But I mean, I think it is a matter of reaching out, you know, to those business owners. I know there's a building across the street here on Roanoke next to where the brewery will be opening up. And I know that's had some activity recently. And so, you know, I would definitely get that information to the realtor, who could then share that to any prospective buyers of that space. And that's the old cash register building, I believe.
Thank you.
Sure. So, and just add, I'm not sure why that after didn't, oh, there it is. Add, before and after, and these were some very nice photos that were taken by Ms. Sachs, and really appreciate that, because I did have some photos. I didn't do the buildings justice though, so these are much better. So this is the Dewdrop Inn, it's owned by CHP, and they really on that facade there. And I think what's interesting in it's kind of the story after the improvements. You know, in this particular case, an architect moved in shortly after this and has really, you know, has really livened up the space. He had holiday decorations, and it has just a very clean look to it. And you wonder if he would have chosen the space if the improvements were done. And this is electrical supply, which I think turned out very well.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
The chair doctor, which was some modest changes, but she was able to get the windows redone, as well as change out the awning and just spruce the front and side a bit. And this was the former Palmer Grocery, where the front was able to be redone. And I think that really made way for a new tenant in the space, as well as, you know, and now it is under new ownership. And I believe the new owner is interested in this program and finding out more about it to continue the improvements. And this is downtown, is the Old Town Barbershop, and putting the awnings back on the building, as well as improving the slats on the handicap ramp, and just making the kind of appearance altogether, just freshening it up a bit. And then this is the other one downtown, which is Iron Tree Brewing. I did hear from the owner. He's kind of, they're pretty much through their ABC process right now. They have a couple more permits, paperwork to fill out with ABC. They're starting the fermenting process, and they are looking to probably mid to late spring open up. So they are still working hard. The actual one of the owners is actually it was kind of something that they were doing on the side. One of the owners is looking to go full time and to put all their energy into to open up the brewery. So that's exciting because that means that they'll have the manpower to really get it off the ground here in the next couple months.
Did they receive any grant funding from us?
Not for the outdoor dining this year because they weren't open.
Okay, thank you.
They did receive obviously this facade grant. And that's all I have on the facade grant program. As far as direction from central business, if there's any conversation that you wanted to have about criteria or the selection area or potentially the, whether the selection process as far as the review committee, if you want to tweak that at all, any changes there. So I guess I'll just open it up for any comments you may have.
Okay, I only have a question. If they applied last year, are they still eligible to apply again this year?
Yes, I mean, this being the second year, I think that's a new question.
Okay.
But I would think from staff perspective, yes, unless there's a reason why the committee thinks that they would rather just open it up for other applications to come in. I mean, they could apply. They may still not be one of the top applications.
Sure.
But I think it should be available to them.
Okay. Did anyone apply last year that really didn't use the money or the grants because they couldn't get the work done?
No, they all, well, I think the only one that didn't use all the grant money, I believe, was the chair doctor. And I think they didn't use about $300 or $400 of what they were allocated.
Okay. Marissa, you have anything?
I do. I just wanted to piggyback off of your comment, Sam. I think it's a very valid question. And I wouldn't mind a discussion on, the priority of who gets the award should be to those who haven't gotten it and perhaps set a 3 to 5 year range for that. And I mean, we still could encourage people to apply, but maybe right up front, they need to know that our priority goes to the non-award winners. And if there are funds left over, then we can look at the repeats.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, we want to get everyone a chance to get a little bit of the money. And once again, not telling, like, you like to supply, don't apply again. But, if you're a new business or you want to apply, yeah, you might get first choice. I agree with what you're saying.
I'm sure Andrew can come up with much better wording for what I was trying to say.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'm stepping on my own. Yeah, I know. Andrew, use your king words.
I want it to be fair to everybody.
I do too.
It's
Yes.
going to slowly start to catch on, I think.
Right.
And when it does, we may have more people interested and expand it down the road. I mean, who knows? But being fair would be nice. And, we also need to consider if council members are open to applying, because I know there's a bit of a conflict. So I want to make sure that is addressed because of the area that, we are in.
Right. And obviously, we can see that it's working. I mean, just look at some of the buildings, the improvement of what, at least 3 or 4 of them. So I think if we can get more people on board, the better off the town would be as far as improving the looks of the town.
And right now with DCI here, hey, they would be perfect to help facilitate and get the word out to everybody downtown. So thanks for being here today. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we may just have to have a special meeting where we can discuss this because it's going to take more than 10 or 15 minutes. You know, and we don't want to keep putting a lot of stuff on the schedule, maybe put 2 or 3 things. I don't think we can really spend a lot of time on each item. Okay, anything else? If not,
Would you like me to bring this back next time to discuss more, or are you comfortable with the schedule? You know, with updating council at the next meeting, and then we could go ahead and advertise for the public meetings.
you talking about bringing it back to central business?
I wasn't sure if that's what you were, if you were asking for some additional time to discuss this, or if you were comfortable with us moving forward, you know, after a council update with, you know, with scheduling the meetings, the public meetings.
Okay, well, I would think even if we went to town council, if we need to fine tune it, we as central business could do so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think I think maybe, so if as for the next meeting, you know, at that point, I'll go ahead and have, you know, letters written to the property owners, and we'll have started our public meetings. But as far as the selection criteria and such, that, you know, and as far as the review board, if that would be something that could be finalized next month, that'd be good for staff to do.
Yeah,
I agree with your timeline, and I would encourage the people that are already on the selection committee to reapply, but to open it up to everybody again. To be fair, there might be somebody who is very well qualified and wants to be a part of it. But I think we had a great committee. I think your timeline is good. I think everything that you have written about the facade grant and what we learned last year, well, prior year, was good.
right.
So I don't have anything personally to change. I would be okay sending it to council for their final blessing.
I agree. I think the sooner the better.
Mhm.
Excellent.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we're gonna move down to Adam D as in David. Is that right?
Yes, and this is a pretty short update for this month. So this is the rally, I'm sorry, this was the ARC DHCD grant, correct? Yeah, so this was
Right.
our construction grant that we received, you know, for the community gathering space, farmers market structure on Hickok Street. Our consultant, Jennifer Wilsey, working with the New River Regional Commission, is working with DHCD to come up with the contract documents. And so we just talked earlier this week, she has a number of questions that she will need to work with us on over the next month. So I will have some additional questions for the committee and updates at next month's meeting on that item.
Okay, I don't have anything else. Marissa, you? Okay, move on, Andrew.
Okay, so the next item is the rally grant update, and probably you know, ask Marissa if there are any things she'd like to add, but basically the process seems to be going well. They have a great design. They had an amazing survey that went out to the public with a video, and just it really was, they were able to really, I think, get a lot of great feedback that fed into the design. They're working with Steve Simonis from Balzer and Associates on the design of the park. They have a great fundraising page, which I'll bring up real quick, which is on Fundly, and they are, you know, looking at their fundraising campaign through individual donors, as well as looking at corporate donors and how to structure the corporate asks that they're going to be doing here pretty soon. So I think they're moving along. It's not it's not an inexpensive project, right? And so they are looking at other opportunities to save money different ways, and then also looking at really aggressively fundraising as well for the project. But it's still exciting, and I think they had a great team and a great design. So I'm excited.
Mhm.
Forward.
All right. Did I mishear you? Have they come up with a design?
So yeah, so if this is one,
Okay.
this is the preferred design.
Okay.
In here on the drawing here. So you would enter,
Mhm.
walk to the courtyard between the older sanctuary and the newer sanctuary of the church, and it just the centerpiece is the bell from the bell tower that's proposed now to be there, and then they would have nice landscaped areas around, and then there would be a circular walkway around the bell tower, and then sitting areas, interior as well as on the exterior of the walkway.
Okay.
And Sam, just so you know too, there is discussion about sponsoring trees and bushes too. So, if you want to donate a maple tree, then you can get your name on a plaque, which is still in discussion of how that's going to happen. And
Okay.
the funding page, they're also thinking about what can you donate for people who offer a donation. So it could be coffee from Great Roads on Main. It might be a t-shirt that we're looking to donate. So people are getting something for their donation as well. We wanted to always have a feel good feeling. And something else that I did want to bring up is there was some discussion about involving the arts board into this project to help facilitate the art aspects of it. And I wanted to throw that out there. I feel like a partnership with DCI, I mean, it's always good, they're right there. But I do want to make sure that, we said that no funding was going to this project from Christiansburg citizens tax dollars. So I want to make sure that that would continue. And I don't know what the landscape would look like to do that with the arts board and this project. So throw it out there for consideration. Andrew, I guess you might be the point person on that discussion.
And I guess it would be as we get into the just a quick update on the public arts group. As we move towards getting that draft art plan, is that something that can be incorporated into the draft art plan conversation?
Okay, I'm good with that. I just wanted to bring it up so it's on the radar.
Right.
So how are we putting the word out to the public that they can make donations or for a tree, a bush, a flower?
So I think the rally group in working with DCI and
Okay.
they're really getting the word out there as best they can. So it's really up to this group of citizens and business other stakeholders that have come together to promote the project and for fundraising. But hopefully, any exposure will help, educate people. And if people are interested, they can go and find, the Fundly page here. And hopefully, this little exposure could help, for someone that watches this streaming or watches it. Watches it after it's taped and is interested in donating. There could be opportunities like that. We're hoping. So just more exposure anywhere. Really getting word of mouth out there.
And Sam,
Okay.
the news stations have been really good, and newspaper about picking up the story too. So every time there's something substantial, the group will reach out to the media, and they've been really good to cover it.
Good, good. Okay, sounds good.
And we are considering the in-kind donation of potentially a dumpster for concrete, if that is still something that, just wanted to make sure that there wouldn't be any funding from the town, but that was something that was considered as far as allowing to have the dumpster for inert material to be put in there once it is, for the demolition, and then that would be hauled off to be dumped, in one of our inert, our inert debris piles that we have and maintain.
Okay,
I just wanted to mention that just so that there was not, there was that distinction that there wouldn't be any funding particularly for the town, but there may be, in this case, an in-kind opportunity.
all right.
Provide a little assistance where it probably goes a little beyond, what this group, of citizen stakeholders, beyond their resources. So.
All right, is that something that you would bring to council as a whole, that request?
That, I know Randy and I talked about it. I don't know, Randy, if you have any thoughts on that.
Would you want to take it to council as a whole?
I don't think so myself. I think they would look at our committee and say, what do you guys recommend? And do it.
Yeah, well,
That's my 2 cents.
yeah, I know what you're saying. I guess I'm looking the other way. I just don't want someone to come back and say, y'all said we're not gonna spend any money. And to me, if you let them use a dumpster, we're not spending money. But I mean, I
Right.
guess we can make the decision, hey, if they don't agree with, I'm sure somebody will let us know. But a dumpster and dumping it, that's not a lot of money.
And I see it that this is going to benefit all the citizens in Christiansburg. So in kind, I would almost expect that if the town can offer a few laborers for removal or offer the dumpster, I think that's what we should be doing to help
Okay.
out.
All right, I'll support that.
If the committee's fine with it, then I'll just go ahead and authorize it when the time comes.
Okay. If
Okay,
there's an
man.
issue, Sam, you and I are on the chopping block, so we're good.
Yeah, what else is new? All right, Randy. Thank you. Anything else, Andrew?
No, sir.
Okay, if not, we'll move on down to the next item, public arts.
Yeah, so the Public Art Advisory Board did meet last week. Yes, last week, and they are an enthusiastic group that is ready to get going, and it's awesome. And basically, each member has taken a section or two of the table contents that we came up with for an art plan, and it's on their own. It's going to be pulling those sections together, and then we're getting back together next Tuesday for our regular meeting. We were kind of thrown off with our regular meeting schedule, but we'll be back on schedule in February. And so February 9th, we'll meet at 11:30 and then and start to pull together the art plan. And that's really the next step. And I think maybe as far as, referencing back to working with the Pocket Park, maybe we get that idea to, well, it's an area that we could point out, that staff was going to do as far as, the locations of public art around town. Plus, maybe that's something we get to Katie Shepherd, because she was working on kind of more of that end of criteria and such, and to see, how that would work, work into or not work into what she had in mind for public evaluating public art proposals.
And Sam too, just to let you know, these people
Yes.
are very excited.
Good.
We were going to put the meeting off just because of short of staff and, overworked in other areas. And they all were like, no, let's do it. We can do something
Yeah.
on the side. We can work on it. So I think that's one of the goals that we had was let's get through this paperwork phase as quickly as we can. So everybody kind of divvied it up, and then we're going to come back and get that done. I think the consensus I feel, and myself too, is, we're biting at the bit to work on the art. And I think we
Yeah.
have an amazing group with a lot of energy, and it's going to happen. So sadly, COVID kind of kiboshed that just a little bit this last year. Yeah, but we're going to get rolling fast. I mean, I love this group. It's great.
Could you refresh my memory? How many members do we have? How many members?
So we,
Andrew, because we lost one, didn't we?
we
Yeah.
do. Yeah, so we have four members right now. We have Heather Browning as a resident here in town. We have Paul Alstone, also a resident.
Charlie.
Charlie Whitescarver and Katie Shepard,
Okay,
and Marissa and myself. And,
okay.
and one item I wanted to bring up that we'd like to put on the agenda for next week is because, as you mentioned, with COVID kind of kiboshing some things and pushing us back, Heather Browning's term was expiring at the end of last year. So I'd like to propose, if the committees would be amenable to that, and put it on the agenda for her to be reappointed for a 2-year term. So she's the only member that her term came up at the end of this past year. So
I would support that. Yes.
Okay,
and the other
Right.
person was the person that did not come to the meetings, and so was so her term expired. So there really isn't a need to reappoint anybody else beyond Heather at this point.
okay. I agree with what Marissa said. I mean, it's been a short term, so why not? I mean, if the groups work, and let's keep it going.
Mhm.
Great. Very good. So you'll see that on the agenda.
Okay.
That's great, Andrew. Thank you.
Sure.
Anything else for the Public Art Advisory Board? If not, we're gonna move on down. Andrew?
Okay. Let me pull up an item. These were a few items that that were brought up, and that we just want to kind of, it would be
Can
good.
you enlarge?
Yeah, oh, sure. Have a brief discussion and to see if there's, what
Okay.
would the committee like for us, our next step to be? Is there more information that's needed that we can bring back? So I'll start with the Main Street grant proposal. I think this was one that it was done with DCI, and I'll need to circle back around with them on there, see if there's any 2021 opportunities for new grants. But I believe, the one that this references, we did not get that particular grant. The opportunity zones, and we did have an older presentation. It doesn't necessarily, isn't applicable to all of our downtown the way that the census tracks, but there may, I can look into that a little bit further over the next month and get back to you all, on that. But I think we may have had a presentation. It's been maybe a year and a half or so ago, but we could dust that off and just see, just re-examine it and see if it is something that, that is applicable to downtown or to other sections of town that we would want to pursue. The cutout figures for photo opportunities at events, whether it's temporary or permanent, that would be, I would see something maybe, Marty and I hadn't talked about this, but that may be something that I can ask Marty to look at a little bit closer, and we can talk about it over the, before our next meeting.
Do you think COVID would have an effect on that?
I think I mean, from a sanitizing standpoint and
Yeah.
Mhm.
we need to be careful about it and do it
Yeah.
right.
So do we want to throw that to Marty, or is that the arts board, or both?
Well, did we not, as the central business, did we not come up with 2 designs or 2 ideas?
Yeah, Sam, we had a few ideas, which
Okay,
I thought all of them were great. It just is going to depend on how to implement them and where and how. And, perhaps the arts board, that might be one of the easier low-lying fruits they can grab and run with, which might keep them happy too, because then they're making some progress.
I would say that, that would create some problems at special events just because of the setup and what would need to be sanitized and cleaned and taken down. So I think it would be very difficult for a lot of the things we do. Those are used in settings like basketball and football games and baseball games. I just think it'd be very difficult for us to do for the type of events we do.
I thought originally we were planning on putting these stationary, like in our parks and things like that. Have we changed that thought?
No, Sam, you're right. I think it was just 2 options on the board. Something perhaps portable and something more stationary at the park, which
Yeah.
I think, if memory serves me right, it was like the firemen's booths and stuff that kids could stand behind, something like that.
Something like fire and rescue, yeah, in that area.
Yeah, because, fire and rescue's right there, and it is a memorial park for fallen officer.
Yeah, but I guess that we have to really be concerned now with the virus going on, is keeping it clean. I mean,
I
I'm not saying,
understand.
yeah, I'm not saying get rid of, because I think it'd be a good idea.
Well, we
Mhm.
do, Sam,
Go
we
ahead.
do have some of those at some of our events. We did it at the Winter Wonderland last year inside. We did have cutouts that people could stick their faces in and take pictures. So we do have some capabilities of that.
So how'd that turn out?
Yeah, that worked out pretty well. I mean, we had the ones for the kids, with Santa Claus and I think we did an elf. So a couple people, mentioned that they liked that and they could put their faces in them and take their pictures.
Okay,
Mhm. And I do see this as something that wouldn't be able to be unveiled probably until COVID is more managed.
right. Okay, I don't have anything else on that subject.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Marissa, did you have a question about who should do this, the arts?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to keep it on the radar and perhaps not for this year, but something that could be worked on this year for next.
Okay.
Because hopefully by then we'll be okay. And what department it goes into, I am okay wherever. I think Marty's very capable. I think the arts board's very capable, so I'm good.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I want to keep it on the list.
Okay.
All right,
All
Andrew,
right, so we'll keep it for now then and just keep it on our list.
that's my recommendation.
Okay, I'll agree.
All right, Andrew, back to you.
Very good. So the downtown webcam as just talked to Craig Hackmaker, our IT director, and I'm going to continue that conversation. As you'll recall, we were thinking about the camera, putting it on the sheriff's department, and we had started the conversations with the county. We would still need to work with them to put to do the wiring for it, have access to their internet. Because the way that it would work, we think that the best way to work a downtown webcam would be, we would actually be contracting with a third party that would host, and we're estimating that it'd be probably $200 a year to host it. And it's probably going to be about $800 to $1,000 camera. And basically it would go through this third party so that it would be their website. So we would not have any security issues. We could still have it, accessed from our from our homepage or what have you. But as far as I remember, that we were still looking at the best location being from being from the county, the sheriff's office, if that's possible. They were amenable to it before, and we just need to figure out how to wire it and then get access to internet. Would be kind of the next step. So we can continue talking about it and have some additional information for you all next month.
Would there be any benefit to talking to Lisa Blakely to possibly use this as a tourism draw? Look what's going on. Look at our Main Street anytime.
Yeah.
I have no idea what her budget looks like, but it might be a good idea to talk to her and bring her in on this one, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not for sure when we're gonna have a meeting with the tourists, but Andrew, if you want to reach out to her, I can, or Randy, either one.
Yeah, I talk to Lisa regularly, so I'm happy to
Okay,
reach out to her.
all right, thank you.
Do you want me to take this next one?
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay, so it's been about 2.5 years ago. I had spoke with a few people that are in the Christiansburg Institute arena, and they had made a comment that they didn't feel that we had identified some of the more historic areas in the town. And by that, Rosa Peters Park, the Hill School, and then secondary to that, the idea popped up of our Dr. Pepper connection, which I think Marty is also interested in that. So that's where that request came from. And they were asking for, like right now, the CI sign is somewhat easy to miss. If we had it in our budgets to make them more prominent.
Well, one thing I would say that, of course, our Historic Society has not been as active as probably as much as they would like. But there was a discussion as far back as 10 years ago with the Historic Society to come up with a list of future historic signs and markers that needed to go up that could be presented not only to the town, but to the state of Virginia as a historic site.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't mind exploring that because I do feel we have rich history here that if you've lived here a while, you know about it, but if you're a visitor, you may not. So I think further discussion in that area is very positive. And we can pull in the council you mentioned, Marty, we can pull in people from CI, whatever it takes to get the right job done.
And I would always be happy.
Sorry, Marty, go ahead.
I'll be happy to, to keep pushing the Dr. Pepper connection too. But, we did start a project as you come off the interstate of Route 8 as the marker marking right now, the correct
Continental Divide?
Yeah, the mention the marker out as you come off about the Continental Divide. We probably need to do a little bit more on that since we started it and put something out there.
We had planned to. The discussions were a nicer sign, but I think that was put on the back burner with COVID.
And, as you look at it too, Marissa, I think you need to look at all the historic connections because, people when they travel are looking for things. One is the Daniel Boone connection and to the location where you had the Farrier store and the place downtown. People look for those type of things. So, it would attract a lot of tourists and maybe people coming off. And Sam, that might be another something to bring to the tourism board as a sidebar to discuss some of these things that could be part of tourism.
I agree on that one. We can talk to Lisa about that as well.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, if you think all that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to just ask Marissa if she or anyone else has reached out to Rosa Peters Committee or Hill School or CI to get their involvement or input other than a little, I'll say hearsay. Have we had any sit down meetings?
I will say that we have talked to Chris Sanchez and from the Christiansburg Institute, Inc., and then as the director, and then also a board member of, the Montgomery Museum, and they are interested in doing some signage of different locations, particularly, around town, and they are working together on proposed language, and
Right.
so I do think that they will be great resources, to bounce around, and that's something that really, that came from their, their ideas and their talking together, so that, but they would like the town to be involved in language, and then if it results in any signage, within public rights of way, then obviously, the town would need to be involved with that as well. So I think, that's something that is of interest to CI, and as far as working with the Hill School, that would be something that we could certainly reach out to them as well.
All
I
right.
think it seems like a fairly decent sized project, so it's great to get the others on board who have that knowledge.
Mhm.
Right,
Yeah.
because I know, like even Rosa Pete, I know they have a sign down there, but I think it's in not the best shape. And even
Mhm.
Hill School, they have a sign, but it's not in the best shape. And I know David Moore, we have been talking off and on about redoing a sign at that location. So like I said, I just wondered, how much contact have we had with these personnel? If that's something we need to do more of.
Probably, yeah.
I can easily see this as a subcommittee almost. There's going to be so much information.
Mhm.
I don't think central business could handle it on its own, honestly, with the other tasks.
Right, I agree.
And Lisa Bleakley is interested in it from a historic tourism.
Okay,
So that is something that she has brought the different Parks and Rec directors together through Montgomery County, and we'll continue to have conversations with them about potentially signage and working with with the different groups that the state groups that provide trails and such.
Mhm. That's great.
Civil War signs, and they're also looking at potentially interpretive signage other places as well.
Mhm.
okay.
So, and then as far as the Continental Divide, right, we do have the kind of the original sign that we put up there, and we did, find out that we do need to replace the information box that's kind of deteriorated over time. So that'll happen, this probably in the next month or so. We'll get new information out there we had some information sheets in the box, and it was brought to our attention that it just kind of deteriorated. So I went out there and grabbed it, and it really just fell apart in my hand. So they're kind of like the realtor information boxes. So it's kind of a note to us that those do not last too long. So we'll
Mhm.
have to keep an eye on that.
Sounds good. I think the next thing was the sign penalty.
Yes, and I do think some of the sign penalties are kind of governed by the zoning ordinance and what we can do under state law, and having to give them the ability to to remove sign. I mean, if it's in the right of way, we can remove the sign, but it is something that we struggle with. It probably would be a good item for potentially the Planning Commission, their development subcommittee, to study further.
Andrew, I'm sorry. What are you speaking of? Because you were frozen and I lost you somewhere.
Okay.
So where we at?
Right. So this is in regard to just there are some businesses that do continually put out signage more temporary signage in the right of way in different places that, and other businesses abide by, the signage rules and they don't do that. And so, are there things that can be done to just make it more difficult for the business, for the very limited businesses, but for the businesses that put out more signage regularly?
And Sam, you probably know which ones. If you're driving out by the mall, there's usually 12 to 15
Oh, yeah.
right
Okay.
in a row.
So we're talking about the sign permit violation, because that's where I lost y'all.
Yeah,
Yes.
sign
Oh, yeah.
permit violation.
Oh,
I'm
I've-
frustrated because it's not fair to all the other businesses,
oh, I agree. Yeah.
and you tell them, and then a week or two later, they're out again. And I
Oh,
thought,
Especially on
gotta-
the weekend.
yeah, there's got to be a penalty of some sort after you have been told, twice, whatever.
Okay.
If not, it's pointless. They're just going to keep doing it.
We've mentioned with staff possibility of civil penalties in our code rather than criminal penalties.
Right,
Right.
right.
Okay, I'm with you.
I mean, I don't think it's
That would be
criminal.
helpful. That would be helpful from an enforcement standpoint, that you could, that you still have to give them a period of time to come into compliance.
Mhm.
And then you could move forward with the civil penalty sooner than if you were having to go to court, then it would be a matter of, paying the civil penalty, not necessarily trying to prove why, if they violated the ordinance or not. It's kind of beyond that at that point, once you issue the civil penalty. So it is a little more helpful for, from a staff perspective to gain compliance.
I would appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, I agree, because I'm, like I say, especially on the weekends, you go towards the mall and all these little pop-up signs up everywhere.
And
Yeah,
that defeats the whole point of why we have a sign
yeah.
ordinance. Yeah. Okay, I'm good on that one.
Okay.
All right, Andrew.
This next one may be an older one. Discuss crossover tasks with event coordinator to avoid duplication. And so I guess it'd just be an ongoing conversation.
Mhm. I really wanted Marty here because I know that we had also talked about collecting bags for benches and stuff like that. And I'm thankful Marty jumped on it and ran with it. It's going great. But it was just to keep more open communication because a lot of our areas overlap. And we didn't want to separately be working on the same things.
You still on board, Marty?
Yes.
Okay.
We're at 1,600 pounds and it's gotten to a point now that we'll have enough for a second one, but it's getting to a point that we're going to have to look to see if we want to keep continuing it or come to a point that we'll look at it, because it does take a lot of effort, and
Right.
it has taken a lot of plastic out of the waste stream, and that might be something that we look at a little bit closer, that maybe Andrew, maybe you and Randy could discuss it and maybe hand off to the waste committee that could be part of our recycling ongoing effort, or we get more departments involved in it, because it has been a very big task, and it takes away more than you think in having to deal with it.
Are we aware of any other organizations that's doing this in town?
There's 22 other organizations in Christiansburg doing it right now, but they're
Okay.
not having the luck we are. Most of the ones I've reached out and talked to, they haven't even got their first 500 pounds yet.
Well, that's what I was wondering, if we cannot spread the wealth some way,
That's definitely a discussion for the future, because I can see it going a bunch of different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been overwhelming at times.
Do we have access to an intern that could help take that project over?
I'd hate to put an intern on that project just because of the time and the effort you have to put into it.
Marty, where do you store these bags?
Oh, they're gone as soon as I get them. They're going in cooperation with the local grocery store. They serve as the collection point for us and the other 22 collections.
Okay.
So they don't store or stay around too long.
Okay, good.
Well, I'm glad to have you here, Marty. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say me too, Marty. No, no, you've been doing a good job. All right.
My concern with the last one was the same as the event coordinator. I really would appreciate coordination with DCI as being part of this meeting on the regular. So thanks for being here. I think it just helps our communication greatly with what we have going on.
Yeah, well, I agree. And you know, I'm like you. I like to thank the ones that's not vocal right now, and I hope they will be in the future because we like to see and hear you. I mean, this is just not a Sam Bishop and Marissa idea. It's a whole community idea. So the ones that's in the background, you know, not getting the credit for what you do, we like for you to come to the foreground and join us up front.
I like how you put that, Sam.
Hey.
Oh, good. Almost Hallmark worthy.
Almost. All right. Is there any other business?
Yeah, I would like to bring up something that I was going to hold off until we talk about the upcoming farmers market. But if Randy and Andrew could put it on their radar, we need to look at working with Blacksburg Transit to provide a stable transit service on the Thursdays that we have the markets. So we just need to start discussion on that. Because we had started using Blacksburg Transit a lot to bring some of the seniors and the lower income people down to the market. So I know that the bus stop has been moved from the North Franklin over to the parking lot of Food Line, but we might want to look at doing the call bus, the setup that on Thursdays we make sure that is available, and we get it out there. People maybe will start using it once we do the temporary site. Also remind you, if you haven't seen it yet, go to the town Facebook page and vote for the snowmen and all the snow creations. That runs
That's
through
awesome.
Friday.
That was really cute.
And I'll just add on to kind of what Marty was saying. Yeah, the BT, our fixed routes, our blue and gold routes will start back up on February 15th. So those will be hourly service that will access the stops close to the rec center, including the new stop that is in the walkway, with walkways continuing on to the rec center from the Food Line access road, which was part of the North Franklin Street improvements. Make sure that there were safe pedestrian ways to access the rec center. And then yeah, so the at your request service, or that'll be the request service. That's something that we can look into and talk about. That is a service that is extremely popular and does book up fairly quickly. So I mean, it would be a matter of having having the riders signed up and booked for in the particular riders, because it's kind of a door-to-door service. So we would need where the riders are coming from, and that they're definitely going at a certain time and then coming back at a certain time. So that would take some coordination on that end. But the fixed routes will be available, and we'll provide hourly service to the farmers market.
Sounds great.
Okay. Is there anything else to come before this committee? I know we have gone over, but you know what? I think we got a lot done and it ran smoothly, and hopefully it can keep running smoothly. All right. If there's nothing else before this committee, we are adjourned. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.